Hey everyone, welcome back to the workshop. And I have been noticing more and more questions and comments asking for help with engravings. In some cases, I've noticed they're mechanical issues. In other cases, there might be some software tips they can do. Well, I've put together a few tips that will hopefully help you dial in your laser, whether it be mechanically or in the software, and also a couple tips within the software to get maybe a little more contrast and pop out of your engraving. So if this is a topic that interests you, you want to find out more, stay tuned. I'm going to jump right into it. So one of the more common questions and problems I see asked are, you get these really wavy lines and maybe the ends aren't quite connected. They're just looking really rough. This is almost always a mechanical issue. It's something is wrong with the movements of the laser, and that can be the rails, it can be the wheels, it can be the belts, it can be couplers. There are a number of things to check for this. So this is very common more on the diode lasers, especially the ones that you might have to assemble. And so let's take a look at a couple lasers and some of the things you want to check to help dial that in. All right, we are looking at an open frame laser. Specifically, this is the Atom Stack A70 Pro. They'll all be similar but slightly different. So one of the first things you want to look for is you have this rod that is connecting your two sides that moves the gantry forward and back. And so they have couplers on here, and this is the stepper motor. Sometimes it's on one side versus the other, but there's going to be one or two couplers. They have set screws on here that clamp down onto the bar on this side, and then over on the outside they have your idler pulley and gear that will also have a set screw. If those are loose, it can cause these bars to slip and it will cause the belt not to move. So double check all your set screws on any of your couplers, make sure they're snugged down and that things aren't slipping there. The next thing you want to check, of course, then is the belts. They need to be snug so that the gantry moves smoothly. You don't want them so tight that it is struggling to move, but you don't want them so loose that it just kind of freewheels around. And so you want to adjust the tension. The lasers are going to have various methods for tightening those. In the case of this one, there are two screws here. You loosen them up and then you can slide this block forward and back, which is going to tighten up this gear pulley, and then you want to snug them back down. In this case, you would want to get both sides equal. And it is a little bit of trial and error. You want to play with it and see how tight you need to get. Too tight and it can struggle, too loose and things will slide around. This is another style where they just have a screw holding it down. And when you loosen this one up and loosen this one up, you can pull the belt tighter, tighten that one down, and then lock that one down in place. Each laser is going to be slightly different. Some of them have screws that adjust a block. You just need to make sure you check your manual and adjust your rails accordingly. You want the gantry to move smoothly, but it shouldn't freewheel around. You shouldn't be able to like push it and have it go all the way. And when you lift up the edge, it should kind of smoothly roll down, but not slam down to the other side. Once you kind of have everything like that moving smoothly, you should know your belts are pretty good. The other very common thing you want to check for are the wheels that the gantry may be rolling on. These generally in this extrusion are going to ride in the kind of the V-slot center. These are often like a Delrin, and they should have just enough friction so that they roll along there, but that you can't spin them freely, but not so tight that it is causing friction. On this style, one of the wheels will have what's called an eccentric nut on it. On this one, it's actually the bottom one, and it has kind of an offset shaft. So as you turn it, it will either loosen or tighten that wheel to the frame. So you just want to adjust that very slowly until that wheels are not having any play, just so that they grip, but not any tighter than that. That'll give you just the proper friction to make sure that they roll smoothly without any play. So those mechanical issues I showed you on diode lasers, there'll be similar things on CO2 lasers, so you may need to check the stepper mounts if your belts are loose, and also depending on the rail styles, you may need to see if there's any play in there. On diode lasers or CO2 lasers, you also want to check the head, make sure that nothing's loose and that it's as firm to that gantry mount as possible. If there's any bit of play in there or wiggle room, you want to check to see that you can snug up any of the mounting screws as possible. We want it to be as snug as possible on the head, and then the rails and the gantries, we want them just tight enough so that everything moves with as minimal friction but no slop as possible. Once you dial all those in, you should eliminate most of your mechanical issues. Now that you've eliminated any of the mechanical issues, you may still have some software tweaks to do. There can be times where you might get an engraving that looks pretty good, but as you zoom in really close, you're going to notice that the edges look a little bit fuzzy. And then you almost have maybe like a mirror image or a double image on there. With CO2 lasers, a lot of times this is just to the tube firing, and there's a slight delay between when the computer sends a signal to the controller and the controller actually gets the tube to fire. So it might be telling it to start firing here, but it doesn't start firing until there. And then in bidirectional, it can be offset a bit. So in Lightburn, there is a setting that we can adjust for this, and it just takes a couple quick tests to kind of dial it in. So you're gonna need a couple things to make this test easier. First and foremost, you can use any material, but I like using these coated aluminum or steel business cards, and this will have a much more accurate engraving. You're just trying to get the beam to leave a nice spot where it is starting and stopping. The other thing you're gonna want is a set of calipers, preferably digital calipers. That's gonna make it easier. These are gonna be some pretty small measurements you're gonna be making, and you wanna be as accurate as you can, so get a good set. If you don't have either of these, I'll have links down below where you can grab them online. And so we're gonna be working within Lightburn to make this correction. And so I showed you this, I'll try to pop it up on screen, but especially, I notice it a lot in the letters that it just, the edge looks a little bit fuzzy. It looks like it's getting a double image. And so there is a way to correct for that. We are working in Lightburn 2.0.03. So if you're working in an older version, some of these menus might be in a different spot. But if you come to laser tools and find device settings, in older ones, you might have to go to edit and device settings. And we're gonna come over to this basic settings tab. And down here, we've got this big box where it has enable scanning offset. And that is what we want to work with to kind of dial in to get the laser firing exactly where we want it. And so what we need to do is first run a test. And so this is where we want to use our black cards, but we're going to set up the test really quick, and we're just going to draw some black boxes, or in this case, teal. We're going to need 3 of them, and we're going to put them on different layers. So I am going to copy this and just kind of arrange them in order. I'm going to be doing 3 with this. I'm using the OhmTech Polar Light, and it has a range from about up to, I think, 500 millimeters a second. And so we're going to be running from about 100 to 500. So I am going to align these vertically, and I do need to get a card in the laser so we can make sure we're going to be working on that space correctly. So let me drop one of those in. All right, we are going to go ahead and update overlay, and you can see I do have my card in there, and we're gonna need to scale these down just a little bit so they all fit on there. That looks good. Now what I'm gonna do is jump to this second one, put that on a different layer, and the third one on yet another layer. So I'm going to come to cuts and layers, and before I forget about it, I am going to bring my laser over here and make sure it's focused, because if it's out of focus, it's going to be hard for you to see the lines properly. So on this one, we just bring it over there, and we can go ahead and hit focus and get that going. While that is focusing, I am going to set these up. So we want to make sure these are all on fill. So there we have our 3 layers, our 3 fill layers. And the top one, I am going to adjust to 100 millimeters a second. And for these business cards, they will mark pretty lightly. I'm just gonna go 25% power. And this is the important part here, line interval. We wanna have the lines kind of separated by a little bit so you can kind of see the difference between them. So I am gonna bump this all the way up to about 0.5 millimeter line interval. So that should definitely leave a gap in between each one. So we've got the 100 millimeters a second, 25% power, 0.5 line interval. We want to come down to each one of these, 250, 25, 0.5, and then 500, 25, and 0.5. So those all look good. If you want, you could add in an annotation of these of 100, 250, and 500. It's just the 3 of them. I think we'll be able to remember this. So Once that is all set up, I'm gonna go make sure air is off, just we don't need it on these cards. I don't want it to blow it around any, and we can go ahead and send the job to the laser. Here is the result of our card, and as you see up at 100, we can see a slight variation. 250, it's a little bit more, and then at 500, it's very much pronounced. So what we're going to be doing is trying to measure the difference between the outside line and the next one, just so that we can kind of catch how much difference that is there. So let me get the caliper, and we'll see what we can come up with. All right, so this is going to be kind of a very tricky thing because we're talking about very minute differences here. And so what you want to do is try to just get one edge on the top line and then move it down to get the next one. And this first one, it's so microscopic, it's gonna be hard to get, but I'm gonna go with, we're looking at a gap of about 0.2 millimeters. Let me grab yourself a Post-it note and go at 100 millimeters a second. We have a difference of 0.2 millimeter. And we're going to move to the next one, and we are going to measure that distance. And on this one, I'm going to say about 0.32. So that's 250, 0.32. And then 500, it should be a little bit easier because there is a bigger gap. So just kind of take your time, try to get that measurement dialed in to what that gap is. And I'm going to say 0.6. 0.6 millimeter at 500 millimeters a second. All right, so now we can go back to Lightburn and input those numbers. Okay, so back in Lightburn, now that we have our measurements, we want to come back and we want to go to Laser Tools, Device Settings, Basic Settings, and here we do want to enable scanning offset. Now it is going to need a minimum of 2 measurements, but we took 3. So what you want to do is come down to the add button and we want to start. We've got our 100 millimeters a second and we want to enter in a line shift. Now this can be positive or negative, so this is going to be a little trial and error. I always start with positive, but if you find that the lines are moving further apart, you want to switch that back to a negative number. The other thing we need to do is we need to take our measurements, divide them by half, because it's the whole distance between the two. We just need half that. So at 100 millimeters a second, we said it was 0.2. So we are going to go with 0.1. We're going to ignore the initial offset for now, hit OK. Then we want to add another one. So here we need to change our speed to 250. Our line shift, we measured 0.32. So that's going to be 0.16 is half of that. And then we're going to add our third measurement, and that is going to be 500 millimeters a second, and it was 0.6, so 0.3 millimeter line shift. Again, we're leaving the initial offset alone for now. With that enabled and those inputs in, we can drop another card in and rerun the test. And here's our test. The top one is the original one. This is the second one. So our lines are looking a lot closer. They're fairly lined up. There might still be some slight variation. And so you can play around and dial in from there what your numbers really need to be. And so just depends on how many times you want to run the tests and how much your eye sees that variation. But eventually you're going to get it to where they're pretty much all in a line and looking fairly good. All right, the last thing we want to do is ensure that the engraving lines are actually going to land within the actual outline of the object. And so this has to do with the other feature in Lightburn of that tool with the initial offset. So let's jump back into Lightburn and I'll just show you again up here in device settings. We went and we adjusted the line shift, but now we can check for the initial offset to make sure that they're not going to be skewed to the right or the left of the actual object. So we only need 1 square for this. You can do more than 1. Let's just do 2. So we're going to take these 2 and we're going to come up into our layers and we are going to add a sub function on here. So we're going to click this little plus sign over here. And this will add a sub layer. And we want to output sub layer and we want to make sure this is set to line. 100, we want that at 25, the same as the other lines, and that's just fine. And the others, we still want our wider gap there. So that one's good. And we're gonna come over here and we're gonna go plus output sublayer 250 and 25. Same thing there. Now we're gonna hit OK. Now you see they are in multi here. I want to double check that our card is in the right position. Looks good. Drop these and we'll run this job real quick and then check to see if those lines are overlapping the border at all. And here are the results of that. And if we look closely, we're not seeing any overlap. The lines look like they're ending right on the border. So we don't need to make any adjustment there. But if you were seeing them overlapping on one side or the other, you would want to start putting in measure that and divide it in half. Start with positive, move to negative, and get that all lined up. So now it's time to test. We have our initial image that is a little bit fuzzy on the edges. And so I am gonna go rerun the same file, the same size, and we'll see if it has improved. And here is the engraving after making our changes. Here is the one before. So hopefully you can see, especially on the letters, the difference there between kind of the shadowed one and the fairly crisp lines. And then it's also in the Viking, the detail where it almost looks overlapped versus very clean edged lines. So that can definitely help clean up your engravings and at least get you much more accurate engravings. But I'm gonna give you one more trick to make them pop even more. All right, we're back in Lightburn and we are gonna go back into our layer settings and we're gonna re-enable that second layer. And we are gonna leave it at line. And what this is gonna do is after it engraves, it's gonna outline every shape that's there. So this only works with vector type graphics, SVGs and such, as well as, you know, like text. It's not gonna work with, you know, bitmap or PNG type images. So you'll want to set your line speed to something that's gonna give you a nice kind of a maybe a darker line. And so we're gonna slow it down to really accentuate this. So I'm gonna go, let's say 65 speed and 45% power. We are gonna leave the engraving where it was. It'll be that kind of nice light color, but this will border every single thing and it'll give it a little bit of a touch. Now you can play around with the levels to maybe you just want it to add a crisp line, but not be so much difference, but we're gonna run this as is and we'll show you the results when we're done. So that job completed and here are the results. The top one is with the outline, the bottom one is regular. So hopefully as you can see, the outline does add a lot of definition. Now on the side with the Viking and the really close details, those might be getting blown out a little bit much. So you might want to back off the power at that point or possibly not use it on engravings that have real close lines and fine detail, but just something else to play around with. It can definitely add some definition from just a plain engraving to the engraving with the outline. So I hope you found this helpful and you can take your engravings from shaky lines and fuzzy engravings to engravings that look crisp and have a little bit of pop to them. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down below. I try to get back to those as quickly as I can. Or if you have any tips or tricks that you found works well for yourself, add them there as well. I love the community feedback and support that we get through the comments section. And if we get enough of them, maybe I'll come back and revisit this video again. So anyway, thanks again for stopping by. I hope this video helped you out, and I hope that I will see you again in a future video. But most importantly, I hope you get out into your workshop and make something too. We'll catch you next time.